My name is Glenn Thomas, and I am the pastor at St. Matthew Lutheran Church. And after a long bout of dealing with arthritis, a few years ago I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. As I've been through this journey and dealing with all of the medical and physical questions, I've also discovered that there are, in this process, a lot of spiritual questions. And I've learned some things about myself and my faith and about the grace of God and how it is active in my life. Recently I had a chance to read a book by Stuart Govig called Strong at the Broken Places. And it was a book written to the larger community about how to be in partnership with and how to minister to and for persons who are living with disabilities. But as I read that book, it occurred to me that there was another word underneath that. For people who do live with disabilities and how our unique situations and our particular viewpoints and understandings of life might be a benefit, might be a witness even to the work of God's grace in the world. So I invite you to share with me these reflections as we think about who we are as persons, as whole persons, but as people who live with disabilities, and what particular special gifts we might have to offer the world. This is Persistent Grace.
Let me read these words from the first letter to the Thessalonians. Paul says, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up, as indeed you are doing." Often in the church when we talk about discipleship, we talk about two different kinds of things. One is the work that builds us up each spiritually, so worship and prayer and study of the Word. And then we talk about the works that build us up spiritually by the way that we serve others, giving and serving. In Dr. Govig's book, one of his chapters deals with the idea of encouragement, and much of that chapter, of course, is dedicated to how the church, how the community can encourage people who are living with disabilities, can give them support and help them find courage and strength in their needs. But as I've been trying to do in this series, I think we should explore how we, as people who do live with disabilities, still fulfill our function, our discipleship as encouraging others as well. How can we be encouragers? And I think as people who live with disabilities, we have a unique gift to give to other people along this way. Now, first let me have a disclaimer and say that you are not responsible to make others feel better. You are not responsible to be an example to them. I think too often the world looks at people who live with disabilities and sort of expects them to be models of courage in the face of suffering and to make other people feel better even though we're struggling. That it is in fact entirely appropriate for those of us who live with disabilities to confess and to admit and to allow ourselves the space to know that we can have bad days. It can be very hard. And we are not responsible for other people's feelings when we're having a difficult time. We're not responsible for absolving them either of their responsibility or their guilt. Yet it is also true that we as members of the community have that same shared responsibility as Paul talks about to encourage one another. And just because we have particular problems does not mean we are freed from the need of others to lean on us at times as well. Let's all remember that even though we are living with a disability, we still have gifts to give to the community. We have the same capacity for strength and support to give to people we care about, and frankly to give to people we don't even know. We still have the same ability for compassion. We have the ability to make connections and relationships. Having a disability takes none of that away from us. And so it is important for us to take whatever opportunities we have to share with one another, to help each other, to encourage one another. With those gifts that we have always had, with those gifts that are not particular to whatever our disability might be. At the same time, living with a disability gives us a particular insight into life and into what it means to have hardship and what it means to struggle. And I think that people who live with disabilities have a particular capacity for empathy because of that struggle, because of their own sufferings as well. Having walked that road, having lived that life, we know what it feels like when life is hard. We know how difficult things can be. And we have learned, hopefully, how to carry ourselves through those moments when we are isolated or when we are afraid or when it is just simply difficult to do, when things have been taken away from us, when we are forced to live within limitations. We have hopefully learned something. And those lessons are gifts we can bring to other people who may be experiencing all of those same sort of things, not because they have a disability, but just because sometimes that's how life is. Life can be hard. That's not something that needs to be told to anybody who's living with a disability. But because we have been there, because we know what that feels like, we have a vision, we have a viewpoint, we have an insight into what that's like. That can be a gift that we can share with other people and help them through whatever challenges they're facing. So 2 things that we need to do, I think. One is to take some responsibility. Don't wait for others to ask us for their help. Just as we have dealt with that sort of give and take where on the one hand we want to be independent, on the other hand we know we need other people's help. And we hope that other people in our lives have that insight and knowledge about us, that they can pitch in without us having to beg them for their assistance. So let's have that vision and let's look at other people around us. Let's get out of our own sort of space and notice how people around you are doing and watch for them. Watch for them in their needs and take advantage of that vision and step in and give people help. And don't just simply be passive and wait around. We wouldn't want people to be that way around us. Let's not be that way around others. Let's notice other people, notice their struggles, attend to their needs, and let's be active in the way that we reach out to bring this gift that we have into other people's life as well. The other thing is simply to be a friend. As we've talked before, one of the great challenges of living with a disability is that it's easy to become isolated. Some of that just simply comes with the territory, having less mobility, having less ability to get places and to get involved in things. But there are still ways to do that. Certainly there's technology. Certainly now there are more opportunities for us to make connections. There are more assistance for us for our mobility needs. There is a place for us in the world. And there are people in our lives who need friends. As much as we grieve the loss of relationships that may be a part of our disability, let's be mindful that there are other people who have that same grief, who have that same need, who have those same feelings of loneliness. Now let's be sure that we are not above being a friend to someone else who maybe has also been left behind in the world. We know what that feels like. We know what those needs are. And as much as we would hope someone would come into our life to be the encouragement we need in our challenges, let's be sure that we are that person for another. Because, of course, here is the secret about encouragement. It is always mutually beneficial. When we encourage others, we benefit from that. Our own spirit is strengthened. Our own needs are met even, without even trying. When we create those relationships, there is an opportunity for us to find healing in our own challenge as well. So give encouragement to others. Be a friend, be a help, and in that discover both the uniqueness of your own gifts and your place in the community. God bless and have a really great day.